Well, Miss Stellenwerk, I couldn't find Miss Fedderson. I think she's at Starbucks. But look who I did find on the Marauders map.
Who is it? Hi guys, it's me, Mrs. Khan. While you guys are working hard at home doing your jobs, we're here at Valley View getting it sparkling clean for when you get back.
Everyone thank an educational assistant today because they are working very, very hard. All right, Miss Khan, let's go. Let's go find Miss Hendricks. Come on.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Gotta get back to some reading, Ms. Rosinski. Oh, you locked us out! Aloha, Mora! Momos!
Hello, fifth graders. Welcome to your fifth day of virtual learning. Yeah, this is Monday. Sorry, we're taping lots of these and it can get kind of confusing. Welcome to your fifth day of virtual learning, my friends. We wanted to start out the reading lesson by showing you what an exemplar book club discussion looks like. And if yours doesn't look like this quite yet, that's okay. But we always want to keep exemplars in mind. This is where the type of response, the depth of response, you really want to try to move to. You will notice each member's response is in paragraph form. Their prompt is up here. We scrolled past it. This is one of the first days. They're writing about the setting. If you remember to what the response where you're supposed to talk about what kind of setting your book is. On that day, some of you had settings, some of you did not. So as your setting emerges, make sure you add to your response, okay? But notice, these are in paragraph form. And I'm just going to read a couple of these so you can kind of hear what them as a fellow fifth grader share their thinking. So Kai put her name, she's got the date, and she says, I think the setting in the book is in ordinary time. They were first at Meg's house. This is for A Wrinkle in Time. Then the setting changed and they introduced a new character, Calvin. Now the three women are taking Meg, Charles, and Calvin on a journey, partly to find Meg's father. So she has used character names. She has spelled her words correctly. She has used complete sentences. And when you share in a clean format like this, it is much easier for your teacher to then change the color of the font and reply to you. If your teacher has not yet replied, they will very, very soon. Everyone's working in different time on this. Another exemplar response, Auden here has written her name and also the date, and she's saying, I think the setting of the book is when it was written, in 1962. First they were at Meg's house, then they were at school, then they met Calvin when they went looking for Mrs. Whatsit. Now Mrs. Whatsit, Mrs. Who, and Mrs. Which are taking the three across the universe to find their father and other untold things. So she's answering what she thinks the setting is, again, using character names, using complete sentences, and using that text evidence. She's specifically telling me what happened in the text for why she thinks that. Okay, that is a fifth grade level response. We know what text evidence is at this point. So take some time today when it's time to respond and beef up your book club responses if you need to. You've got plenty of time, guys. All right, just wanted to go over that real quick before we get started with our lesson for today. I'm turning it over to Ms. Stellenwerk.
All right, Ms. Rosinski. So today we are going to be talking about problems that multiply and how you can keep track of those problems in your story. So when I think about a fantasy story that has lots of problems and problems keep coming one after another, I think about Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a lot of books, a lot of stories, and Harry never quite, he solves one problem, but then it seems he has another one right away that he needs to solve. So we're going to watch a little clip here, which is right after, or soon after, Harry has found the Sorcerer's Stone.
How is it that a baby with no extraordinary magical talent was able...
Sorry. Right after Harry has found the Sorcerer's
How
Stone,
is it
but
that
now
a baby with no
Voldemort has come back, and he's going to learn a little bit, and find out about Voldemort a bit and his new problem. Here we go.
How is it that a baby with no extraordinary magical talent was able to defeat the greatest wizard of all time? How did you escape with nothing but a scar, while Lord Voldemort's powers were destroyed?
Why do you care how I escaped? What was after your time?
Voldemort is my past, present, and future.
So 5th graders, as we're reading or watching the Sorcerer's Stone, we think Harry's going to find this stone, all his problems are going to be solved. But nope, they're not. He has another problem ready for him. So today, you are going to learn that as you tackle more complicated reading in your fantasy books, your fantasy series, you will run into multiple plot lines. You'll find it helpful to track those plot lines and those problems using charts, lists, tables. You want a way to keep those problems and plots organized. You want to think about gathering data just like you're a scientist. So we are going to take some time and think about the different problems that Harvey and the other characters have encountered so far in our mentor text, The Thief of Always.
I'll just use this line. All right, guys, let's, if you're enjoying your read aloud, I'm really happy. This is an incredible book. It's so exciting. And you have just listened to probably the scariest chapter in the book. Halloween is a pretty harrowing experience, I would say, for our Harvey on his first Halloween. So lots of things are happening in his little life in just a few days, okay? So just to model, we know now that Harvey at first doesn't know what the rules are in the house. He's collecting information from Wendell. He's collecting information from Miss Griffin. He's collecting information even from the cats and his noticing of the seasons. How does this house work? He doesn't know quite yet. Harvey doesn't know how long he's really been there either. Harvey's worried about the fish in the pond. That was a pretty intense experience for him. And you think about the description of the fish with their eyes bulging up, staring at him. Harvey's also worried if those fish are prisoners of some kind. He doesn't understand what's going on with that, but it's too significant for him to ignore. That's a signpost moment right there in his journey that you also learn from. And he doesn't know who the haunter is. He's sure, especially after his Halloween experience, he's sure that the house is haunted. So he just doesn't know who. And if you remember, think back in your head to that scene, another signpost moment was when he asked if the house was real, and he heard that soft voice that said, "What do you think, child?" And lastly, Harvey doesn't know if his parents know where he is. So all of these things are just snowballing for him right now. And then he basically left you at like a peak of this very, very scary Halloween experience. What's happening next? It's fall. First it was spring, then it was summer, then it was fall. So lots going on in our Thief of Always. These are some examples of things. This is the example of a list that you could put with your book club book. Now notice, I didn't just name 2 problems. I named a lot of different things that are problems, okay? You're really going to have to pull some text evidence for this one.
So 5th graders, today you learned that as you're reading your fantasy books, it's often helpful to chart or list or find some other way to keep track of the problems and plot lines, storylines going on in your story. And that'll help you as you refer back when you're writing about in your book clubs, when you're talking to your book clubs. That will help you keep track of what is happening. And we also want to do a little review of our lessons thus far and the things you should be continuing to think about in your writing and as you read. So we have our anchor chart here, sophisticated readers of fantasy. So in our first lesson, we talked about the setting. Be sure that as you continue and you're getting deeper into your books or your series, keep revisiting where is your setting? What do you know about the setting? Has it changed? Are they in a did your characters change the setting where they are? Ask about power. Who has power in your books? How do you know that that person has power? What evidence do you have? Who's kind of in charge? Who's calling the shots? Also remember to learn along with your main character. Look for questions or times when that character is told something or discovers something new. Maybe also you know something that your character doesn't know. Keep track of those observations. And then what we talked about today, keeping track of multiple problems and plot lines. Use a chart, use a list. You can do that in your notebook. You can do it on your book club's Google Doc if you would like. But keep track of what's happening in your story. And your homework for today, 5th graders, is to practice that keeping track of problems in your story. Do you want to try making a table, making a list, making a web? How would you like to organize your thoughts? And I know we're working virtually, so we're working in those Google Docs, but also feel free to use your reader's notebooks that you took home. You can draw out a picture. You can work that way also, and maybe just put a maybe simplified list on your Google Doc. But feel free to use your notebooks. Get your thinking down in a way that makes sense to you.
I have a good bit of students who, when they start their work in the morning, they do all their writing in their reader's notebook and then take a picture of it and post it just like you're doing with your math book pages.
Oh,
if you would like to do
idea.
that. And it's a way to, you can insert a table, to do that. You've probably done that in a Google Doc before. But if you feel like you need to get your thinking down in a format and the technology is what's standing in the way, use your hand and a pencil and a piece of paper. We got this.
Yep. Also, as you're making that list or that picture, that table of the problems happening in your story, think about which problem is most important. How would you rank them? What's the top problem your main character is facing right now? And then maybe what's second, what's third, and what's maybe a problem but not quite a high priority yet. See if you can number rank those, and that'll help you just organize your thoughts. And also you could go on and write about why one problem might be more important than another. So these are all ways you can expand your writing responses and keep growing your thinking as you are writing about reading.
Ms. Stallenworth, can we go back to Harvey's problems and go back to that slide? Let's talk about prioritizing our problems real quick. I'm going to give you a couple, and you tell me if, that sounds more important, that sounds more important, okay? Okay, so what is more important? What's going on with the fish in the pond, or who the haunter is? Take a minute. You hear the responses? I heard you.
I can see him thinking.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously who's haunting, who's keeping him captive in this house is going to be more important than figuring out the fish. The fish are a breadcrumb to the big haunter. Okay?
Yep.
Let's think about, doesn't know how long he's been there or whether or not his parents know where he is. I heard him. I heard their responses. Thanks, guys. Of course, it's more important that his parents don't even know where he is. Doesn't matter how long he's been there if nobody knows to look for him. So even if you make a list and number along the way. When I think about a table format, I'm thinking how one column could be character names and one column could be all of their different problems. If you've got lots of characters in your book, that's another way to do it too. Okay. Okay. So, can you go back to the pictures? So I have pictures of people scuba diving because I'm going to make a cheesy analogy right now. What we are asking you to do with your setting, with your characters, with your problems, as a 5th grade level response, we're asking you to be able to identify that story element, but also swim beneath the water, scuba dive, and show us your deeper thinking. And your deeper thinking are your theories, your text evidence. That's why I showed you some examples of exemplar responses. So you know that one sentence, 2 sentences, that's not going to get you down by the coral reef, okay? That's you swimming above the surface. You need to get more deep into your book. One last thing before we are done for with this lesson. Miss Katie Welke has informed me that 2 apps, we've been given access to 2 important Google apps that are going to help us meet with small groups. So like I'm not going to forever just teach you a lesson and expect your book club to successfully do it. I know that we need to meet with small groups, and so we can chat and talk using our devices. So if you will log out and shut down your Chromebook completely, when you reboot it, you will have access to 2 apps that we're going to start using. You're going to have access to Google Hub and Google Meet, and we will use those 2 apps to actually talk with small groups and discuss what's going on in your book, what's going on with your life, you know what I mean? So please, everybody do that so that technology roadblock doesn't stand in our way when we reach out to your groups. Have a wonderful day. Ms. Stollenwerk, do you have anything else for us?
Keep working hard, 5th graders. We know you're trying hard and you're doing great every day.
All right. Happy reading.
Happy reading.